So, good morning, everybody. Well, it's so nice being up on this stage. But of course, I don't want to be alone here. So, I want to invite our panel to come and be here with me. So, we have Alana Ramo from GW USA. We decided to invite USA for a change this year to tell us what they're doing. We've got Charles Ojiji from GW Uganda, Enterprise Uganda, joining us. We have Eileen Wu from GW China, EFG China, joining us. Henry Calve from GEN Netherlands, joining us. Olewale Anipowoze from GEN Nigeria. Could you join us as well? And Thomas Sironis from GW Czech Republic, from Eli. Also, could you join us here on stage? And I'm sorry if I've mispronounced any of your names. You can correct me, please. So we actually had a presentation, but since we are running a little bit behind with time, I would like to go straight to talk to you about your GW campaigns, and maybe along the way, we can also talk about what we've achieved during these past 10 years and where we are as GW hosts or as young countries trying to get to. I want to stick to the order that we have and perhaps start with my colleague, Alana, about the GW USA campaign. Could you tell us a little bit about what you have been up to this year, but also maybe you could tell us about how you got here, how you got to what you are doing this year as well.
Thank you, sure. GW USA has been really, really fun to work with. I've been with GEN for 4 years now, and when I came in, GW USA was already really robust. We had a really great university network that was really plugged in and really excited. And we had several communities across the United States that were celebrating Global Entrepreneurship Week. The one thing that we were missing was a concentrated approach to that campaign. So when I got here, that was something that I really wanted to work on. Now, over the past couple of years, we've been working on our cities campaign, which is focusing mostly on cities that are growing their support for entrepreneurship. So this is not Silicon Valley, this is not New York or Boston, it's Albuquerque, New Mexico, it's Miami, Tulsa, Oklahoma, Little Rock, Arkansas. These are the places where we're focusing our attention and helping them to attract talent and retain talent in their cities that will help local economic development. So we have about 12 cities that we've been working with that are really robust right now, but over the next couple of years, we're going to continue to grow into more and more cities so that they have week-long campaigns that really bring together not just the universities, but also the incubators, the accelerators, and the mayor's offices in those cities. The last exciting part that we're excited to launch this year is a new program to connect USA cities with international cities. So we want to match these cities that are like-minded in their approach and help them work together to learn from each other, to talk about how they work with local government, how they bring in their communities, and how they can continue to focus locally to attract that attention and focus on downtown businesses. So that's what we're focusing on for the next couple of years and something that I'm really excited about. And for everyone in the room, I'd love to invite you to think about what cities might be interested in working with some mid-tier cities in the United States. And please come see me and we can talk about it.
Thank you, Alana. And I think this could be something we could open up to conversation after everybody in our panel speaks as well, because it would be interesting to hear what cities people might have in mind from their countries or maybe from their regions. So I want to stick to the order that we have, and I would like to give the microphone to Charles to talk to us a little bit about GW Uganda. We know this past few years you had an explosion. You know, I've been looking at your statistics, and every year you've been doing so much more than the year before. Could you tell us a little bit about how you do this, what makes a successful GW campaign, and how did you achieve this in Uganda?
Yeah, thank you so much. And I want to say that in Uganda, we have been able to use GEW as a basis for professionalizing the game of entrepreneurship. In Uganda, many people are interested in attempting to do business, but the challenge has always been, to what extent is that business going to survive long term? So through the GEW, we've been able to say we will listen to the country, look at the issues that are obtaining at the moment, and then in the course of that 1 week of GEW, address those issues in a more holistic manner. For example, in the previous GEW, we had a case where we had a lot of headwinds hitting the local enterprises. And in GEW, we had to get a presentation that said, how do you survive and continue to walk the journey of entrepreneurship during hard times? And those are the kind of moments that these people want to hear and come into. We treat it as a week of business clinics, where sick entrepreneurs say, we have got no places to go, but during the 1 week, we have got one place you can go to and get direct message and applicable ideas. So one thing we do, we always reflect what has been the message in the country over the last 12 months. If headwinds have been hitting the private sector, how do we become relevant? Oil is coming into production in Uganda. How do we prepare the local entrepreneur to take advantage of that? So we've tended to use GEW as a platform to make the Ugandans be able to fit into the game of enterprise management.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Thank you.
That's wonderful. Thank you very much. I have a few more questions on that, but maybe on the next round. But now I would like to maybe go to Eileen. She actually said to me that she didn't want to speak too much. Maybe she could invite, somebody from the audience who attended her campaign to also talk about her opening events. But I know you want to say a few things about how your GEW got to this stage, because China is a big country, and you're based in Shanghai. Yeah. And it took a long journey to bring GEW to all over China and more. So could you tell us a little bit about it?
Thank you, Bouquet. And hi everybody, I'm Eileen from Entrepreneurship Foundation for Graduates, we call it EFG in China. And first of all, I would like to thank Jonathan for joining us last November and sharing the insights of entrepreneurship to our Chinese audience. So maybe I can ask help from him. Okay. Actually, we have hold the Entrepreneurship Week for 10 years since 2007. So really great changes has taken place in Chinese entrepreneurial ecosystem. We did our best to make efforts. So we focused on spreading entrepreneurship culture and especially increasing the interest from the government and universities during the first 6 years, I guess. And then in 2013, President Xi Jinping paid attention to the GW China, which opened up strongly support by the government from the central department to the local officials. And since then, we changed the strategy. The GW China changed the strategy in China. We pay more attention to the organizations, entrepreneurship organizations and startups directly. And we set up new branches. The Chinese is a really big country, so we set up new branches with our local partners in different provinces, which all the partners have good relationship with the local partners, the medias, and the universities, so that they can do very well in the local time and do many kinds of activities. And secondly, we, because of the strong support by the government, there are so many departments and so many organizations, companies focusing on the entrepreneurship area. So in Shanghai, we invited all of them to join us, to be the host, to solve the problems and bring resources for the startups together. So and we have more than 70 organizations and 15,000 audience and 45,000 audience online last year in Shanghai. And thirdly, we are trying to be more international. So last year we invited more than 50 foreign speakers and from more than 20 organizations all over the world. So if anyone here are interested in connecting China or to promoting in China, please contact me. Okay.
So that's so much. Thank you very much. Thank you. Actually, I'm gonna go to Henrik from you because you talked about the importance of universities and how you got them engaged in different provinces, and the Dutch did it a different way. They got the entrepreneurship centers of the universities involved from the very beginning, and Hendrik actually belongs to one of them. But the other part of what he does is, other than, of course, everybody knows, get in the ring, he's one of these people who knows how to scale events, I think. So this year they have a new one coming. So it would be great if you could especially talk a little bit about what you did this year. But of course, how you got GEW Netherlands to get to this stage.
So generally we're also busy 10 years. And we set up a foundation very early on with all the universities mainly because we want to promote entrepreneurship in the youth pretty much. And I think Jen and the Global Entrepreneurship Week is really inspiring people. So we have a board and we coordinate from this foundation the whole Netherlands. And we try to have as many more organizations possible doing local and regional events. And on top of that, we do some national events on specific topics. So on Wednesday, normally we do a research event with all the researchers or people that are interested in research. And some other topics every year are different. And this year, or last year, we had a different thing. We thought, okay, we're now maturing our ecosystem, but we're not collaborating between the regions enough. So we said, let's have a summit or an innovation festival where we can have all these ecosystems together. And but the good thing is that we didn't have only startups there, or only policymakers or corporates. We really make the mix. And normally you have a lot of events where only a certain type of group is coming. And they really enjoy it, because for all of them we had a different track of workshops and pitches and all kind of things. But they all met each other and they really had a lot of benefits. So for example, we had also the regions presenting what they could do for certain startups, because every region has a different flavor and topics and expertise and network. So that was really beneficial for us as a country to give more one ecosystem, because the Netherlands is not a really big country. So we say in general, you can say that the Netherlands is a Silicon Valley, or we would like to have the Netherlands as a Silicon Valley, but Amsterdam as our main capital and our flag, because Amsterdam is the most famous. Although I'm from Rotterdam and I would like to have Rotterdam more as a flag, but that's some different stories. So that's a little bit what we did. As I'm 10 years experience, I'm always happy to help any of you on one-on-one during the sessions later on.
So would you be interested in matchmaking with one of the US cities for
of course. I think Rotterdam and Boston already have a connection, so I think I would really help because we have CIC there now and some other things. So, and there are similar cities because it's both harbor. So I think there's already a connection we could strengthen and elaborate on.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, last but not least, I'm going to go to Wale because this year, when we were searching through our GEW campaigns, especially related to GEW themes we identified for this year, all of the interesting activities somehow came from Nigeria. How did this happen? And it wasn't just concentrated in one city. You had some amazing activities for women. You had some really big activities for investors, and there was many more. Could you tell us a little bit about how you do this and how did you get to this stage as well?
Okay, thank you, and good day, everyone. It's nice to be here. And we've been running the campaign, the GW campaign in Nigeria for the last 6 years. And when we started, it was just in one state, in Lagos State, which is like the economic hub, of Nigeria. And we made very little steps, and everyone was wondering, what are these guys trying to do? But as we proceeded, we found out very quickly that many more people, especially women, were engaging in entrepreneurial activities. So it made sense for us to start developing specific activities for GW for women. And we would plan for 200 women, and then 700, 1,000 women would show up. And we'd be like, what are we going to do? Last year, interestingly, everyone is familiar with some of the economic issues we have in Nigeria. Unemployment, youth unemployment rose to about 42.4%, which means that a good number of the young people that should be engaged in employment have nothing to do. So the GW became a very, very powerful vehicle to inspire and encourage many young people to embrace entrepreneurship and to become wealth creators rather than seeking employment. And for the first time last year, we also had the government, and of course the Minister for Trade and Investment is also here. We had the government support that initiative, and this saw us taking the activity, especially the work for entrepreneurship, which was a campaign to sanitize and help people understand, getting hundreds of entrepreneurs to walk on the streets and to engage people and help them to understand the benefits of entrepreneurship. And this would happen normally in just 2 states. But in 2016, this happened in about 10, 12 different states. And this year we're planning for this to happen in about 36 states. And what that means is that we can truly then use the GW as the vehicle to help many more people be inspired to start something, to disrupt the norm, and to create that innovation that truly can create employment for many more young people in Nigeria. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So based on what you were talking about, I actually have 2 follow-up questions to all of you, also based on some of our host survey results. We saw that one of the aspects many of our countries are struggling with is reaching the right funding for GW to scale it. And I would love to hear this panel's views on how you made this happen in your countries. And, everybody started slow, but when did that change happen and how did it happen? That's one thing. And I think some of us gave us some hints. And which brings me to my second question. Almost 70% of our GW countries have been engaged the government in their GW campaign somehow. This is not necessarily related to funding, but what role does the government really play in GW, and what does the endorsement of the government do? And maybe for those of you who are still struggling with that, you could also tell us, how you're trying to get the government's involvement, or why you're not getting the government involved. Would you like to?
Maybe
yes.
I can start with that.
We'll start from the yes.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll start with the second question, and it's pretty simple. When the government is involved, you're able to affect policy from a policy perspective. And what has happened is the government has the machinery or the tools to be able to get the agencies within the government to support things in other remote areas and to spread the word. And what has happened is in engaging, we've been running the GW campaign, but we've now evolved to Gen Nigeria, and what we've also done is to get the minister to be the chairperson of Gen Nigeria. And what this means is that there are pockets of entrepreneurial activities happening all across the country. But how do you then harmonize all of this and bring it together and to be able to change and bring in policies that can truly encourage entrepreneurial upsprings in those areas, and getting the government endorsement and getting them to be part of this helps them to truly understand what's happening from the private sector perspective, what's happening at the startup level, and what kind of policies needs to be in place for funding for startups. For many years, you never find any one, or specifically in the commercial banks, or providing any kind of funding for startups, because you need to be able to show something before they can bring any kind of funding. But now we have the government bringing intervention funds that actually are encouraging startups. So the endorsement from the government is in two folds. The first one is it helps them to truly understand what's happening in the ecosystem, because they are playing their role of government, but they really are not deep down there to understand what's happening. And being part of the GEN community helps them to understand what's really happening and helps to drive the policy shift to support startups and the entrepreneurial ecosystem in Nigeria. So I think that's it. Yeah.
From Uganda, we've got a few experiences on how to attract partners to participate in GW. But one common thread for all these partnerships is that you must be addressing their own inherent interests. We've got a case when Stanbic Bank last year participated and put in a good budget to support our activities. And they did that because they saw that for the bank to continue to grow, it does not only necessarily need to be looking for new accounts. It could actually begin by first associating with the community, assisting young people to start their own businesses, and in the process, they can start talking about opening bank accounts, coming for bank products. So the first thing they wanted to show was that they want to be part of the solution to a challenge of youth unemployment. So a bank came in and put in good resources. The second party that came in that was significant for us, and they have remained with us, is the media. Today, the media is not just talking about exciting things for the young people or for society. They're also beginning to realize that you need a society that is vibrant, that's making some good, decent, sustainable income. So we've been able to bring into our activities major media houses that are now offering finance and offering sponsorship for our activities. And not only do they then do by giving basic sponsorships of the main events, they end up actually opening up a platform for bigger conversation about the subject of entrepreneurship. But the third party that came in last year was our National Social Security Fund, a fund that normally receives resources from the employed public. And then when somebody has retired, they release a full check to you, $100,000, $150,000. But from this fund, they discovered that whenever they release this money to these beneficiaries, within 24 months, they have destroyed all those resources. And they said, what is the problem? These people intended to start some good engagements in entrepreneurship, but they lacked the skills. So they said, probably this platform of Global Entrepreneurship Week can lead us to partners that can make our beneficiaries for our resources to use their resources better. So the Global Entrepreneurship Week, when you use it well and address the different interests of different parties, you get people who come to you and stick with you because you make them better. By Stanbic to come to the program, Stanbic gets better in the country. The same thing with the media houses. The same thing with the National Social Security Fund. But coming to government, there's nothing today as more daunting to every government, and especially in Uganda, than addressing the high number of youth who are educated but cannot be absorbed into gainful employment. So by bringing government on board, we are bringing in a party and a partner who has got resources and already giving some resources to young people to address unemployment. But then they want to do it better. So government has come in and has started putting resources into this thing because they are seeing, by them trying to just give capital, resources to the youth, when they are not educated, the resources are not properly deployed. So that's how we've been able to get government on board. And right here, we have got our Minister of Finance, who will be speaking tomorrow to the audience. And he knows what it means to do entrepreneurship in a professional way. Thank you.
So we talked about funding, right? The financing of the global entrepreneurship and government. Yeah, we got in the beginning the government support to get things running up, and after a while you give a subsidy for a few years and they stop. What we do now is that we tried before to have national sponsors, but it's very difficult to get a national big sponsor. So now more our tactic is to get all these local and regional entities that already are doing events on entrepreneurship or are willing to do events. We try to stimulate them to do it in the Global Entrepreneurship Week and use our brand, and we give them extras like the brand, like the promotion, like our website. And that works very well because it costs us nothing. We only have some manpower we need in the foundation. And that's easy to manage from all these universities that are participating. So our tactic is more to have all these regional parties doing the efforts on organizing events. Another thing I experienced myself is that our bigger events, in the beginning we were scared to ask money to enter the event because you're scared to lose people that are not showing up. In the end, if you give some value to it and you give a ticket price, the quality of the people that are coming is much better and you get some resources from it. And they take you more seriously. So I took the step and I'm very happy to now just ask a ticket price. And one of the things I do then is not ask corporates to put their logo on, but to take 10 tickets or 20 tickets. And they're happy to pay that instead of sponsoring. So that was one thing that helped me a lot.
That's a great idea.
Okay. For us in China, we have 3 channels to get sponsored. First of all, of course, from the government. But it's not so common that because our foundation was set up by the government. So for us, it's a little bit easier than others to get the sponsor from the government. And the second way we get sponsored by the commercial bank and other big companies who will be interested in cooperating with the young startups. They want the innovative ideas from the startups to solve their innovative problems in the big companies. So we have more and more big companies to join us. And the third way, I think it's not sponsored, it's reduced money, I think. As I talked before, we invite all the organizations and other companies to join us to be the host. We book the venue by EFG, but they will pay for the facilities and the service. And of course, they pay less money than they do the activities by themselves. So it's another way to reduce their cost. And for the second question, how can get the government involved? First of all, we of course, because we do the funding since 2006. So for now, we tell the successful stories to the government official. And we have founded 1,500 startups since 2006, within the money of 1,1200 million RMB. But now the total value of all the top successful companies are more than 40 billion RMBs. So, which the successful stories are inspiring all the government officials to move on, to give more money and give more strongly support for the entrepreneurial organizations. Yes.
That's wonderful, thank you. Alana.
So I wanted to share.
Do you want me to touch on funding or government? Both? Okay. Well, we're lucky to have been born out of the Kauffman Foundation in the United States. So we have very strong support in Kansas City and coming from there. In order to attract national sponsors, since entrepreneurship is such a thing in the United States, we are entrepreneurs, we're a nation of entrepreneurs, we really have to divide the campaign more into specific subjects, topics, and themes. So last year we worked with Amway, we've worked a lot with AARP, and some other big groups that kind of focus nationally. What's important for me in the next coming years is to work on more on the local level and help our local cities raise sponsorship, to be able to run their campaigns. Mixing in government there, locally it's really important too to have the mayoral offices involved. It's usually a part of the mayor's goal to create more jobs, bring in more talent, to support the economic development of the city. So a lot of the mayoral offices actually sponsor or run Global Entrepreneurship Week. In Albuquerque, for example, it's pretty much primarily run by the mayor's office in Albuquerque. So they see it as a really important aspect of their own campaign and their own political initiatives in order to better the city. So that's really important for us to keep those channels of communication open with the local government. Federally, we do work with several agencies in the United States. The SBA has been a huge supporter of Global Entrepreneurship Week. That's the Small Business Administration. They have huge reach across the country, so we work with a lot of their chapters, the Department of Commerce as well. So we are plugged into all of them. I would say funding from those agencies is not really a thing. But they are definitely supportive, and their reach and their power is very important to us. Having the government back what we are doing is very important to give it gravitas, to bring in bigger speakers, to encourage more cities to get on board with Global Entrepreneurship Week. So that's really how we are involved. We also work with the State Department, of course, and many administrations. Most administrations in the United States see the value in exporting American entrepreneurship. It is one of our greatest exports, and it's something that we, can share with the world, but also will benefit many entrepreneurs being able to connect with the United States, with other entrepreneurs in the United States, and entrepreneurs in the US being able to build their businesses globally is something that's very important, and which is why the State Department has, in the past, developed the Global Entrepreneurship Summit, for example, as a way to encourage and spread that idea.
Okay, so I just want to share something about funding in Nigeria for the Global Entrepreneurship Week beyond having a national partner, Diamond Bank, who's in the last 3 years had been supporting the campaign. What we then found was the entrepreneurs themselves were interested in actually supporting and promoting activities of their own. And actually, I think we have one entrepreneur here who solely funded a walk, and she provided security, provided feeding and everything, t-shirts and everything. And that was truly amazing to see that entrepreneurs were interested in sharing their own experiences and were interested in inspiring other people and paying their own money to make this happen. For us, it was something truly amazing. And we had about 10 or 12 of those kind of entrepreneurs who were ready to bring their own money to make those events successful and to basically continue to share the good message of entrepreneurship and share their own story. So I thought it was important to share that as well.
Thank you very much, all of you. I actually want to open this up to the audience as well now. So the question is, what makes it successful? What makes a successful GW campaign? And I know around the room we have many other successful GW hosts and partners who perhaps would like to tell us their tips and how they do this. Anybody? If you don't speak up, I might pick on you.
There are two there.
Hello to all. I'm Albert Colomar speaking from Barcelona, from IBAN, and partner of IBAN here in Africa. I think one of the best way to grow in the Global Entrepreneurship Week in each country is to involve also the investors, the business angels. We are also in the same week organizing the Global Angel Week. Then if you want to share the experiences with some people involved in the ecosystem, in the early stage investment, I think it can be one big success big deal for both parts.
I'll just add to that as the president of EBAN and the co-chair of the GBAN, that indeed last year we put together at the same time the Business Angel Week together with the Global Entrepreneurship Week, and it was a big success. And one of the things we're really trying to work hard on at the GBAN is to put together the entrepreneurs and the angel investors, because we think this is a real win-win-win situation.
We fully agree with that. I can take that. So I'm going to go around the room and pick on people, I think. And I see Suresh here, who's sitting quietly all day. But I would like you to tell a little bit about your GEW, because this year you started it all over again from scratch. Can you tell us a little bit about how you did it?
Thank you. I am Suresh Dimat from Sri Lanka. We've been involved with GEW for 10 years and had maybe 2 big GEW events over the years, but found that many people involved in entrepreneurial, like startup programs or even angel investing, they like to do it on their own. They did not come on they were not interested in doing things in groups. And it was very challenging for us to get the few people to do activities and share it with the whole country. So this year, we started the concept of Global Entrepreneurship Network and created more of a global idea as opposed to a local idea. And I think the global, within a couple of weeks of advertising this, we got 40 members signing up. And that 40-member core group now, we are hoping to form the Global Entrepreneurship Network Sri Lanka and hoping for a big delegation to come to Global Entrepreneurship Congress next year.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ramatu Ibrahim. I'm from Nigeria. I just want to share my experience as being involved in what Global Entrepreneurship Week is. I have to travel down from my own state for 4 years, every year, to attend this program. I never wanted to host it because I am scared of the crowd. When I see crowd, I get scared of how do I talk to this large number of people. But because I'm an EDC alumni, I'm coming from this background where EDC as an enterprise development center trained us to be what we want to be, to have that mindset. They give us that exposure, that to have the determination to do whatever you want to do anytime, anywhere. So I have these mentors there at the Enterprise Development Center who encouraged me to come out and host the first Global Entrepreneurship Week in my state. And I gave it a trial. And I'm like, wow. It gave me a lot of exposure, organization coming to talk to me, NGOs, people wanted to see who is it, who is this person organizing this. The government wanted to talk to me, and they're like, what is GEW? What is GEW? It makes me to know that a lot of people still don't even know what is happening from that side, that part of the country where I am coming from. So I have now come out to be that person, to come out to say, yes, we can do something as entrepreneurs. We can come out to connect with the government, to create awareness, to let startups, young entrepreneurs know that there's something called GEW. Thank you. I'll be back.
Sorry, I'm doing important GEM business here because we work in Russia, for example, with Skolkova on our Startup Nations work, and we work in Russia with the Center for Entrepreneurship, and I'm realizing, they don't know each other. So I was just doing the introduction, but here's Eric Hansen from Moscow.
Thank you, Jonathan. We actually were GW hosts since the beginning in London during the launch, and for us, it's just expanded tremendously. It's gotten to a point, maybe if I'm hearing correctly from America, gotten to the point where with a huge country and hundreds of millions in population, getting hard to track the success. And so we've sort of done the past few years what I think I hear America doing, where they focus on mid-sized cities and use GEN or GW as a platform to build that local ecosystem. And we're doing the exact same thing in Russia. We're working with 10, 15 cities, and we're focusing our GW efforts on those cities, trying to get it embedded into that city, that allows it to bring in different ecosystem players. And then on that, we're also piggybacking other programs in these cities, like scale-up accelerators for entrepreneurs, Startup Huddle. We'll be doing that soon too. So I'd love to take 5-10 minutes and see how you're managing the cities. We'll tell you how we're doing it, and maybe there could be potential partnerships too, like you discussed. Thanks.
We don't get into geopolitics, so we love the idea of Tomsk and Vladivostok and any of the Russian cities getting together with our Midwestern cities in the United States and working out what they've got in common. They're actually forming scale-up cities throughout the United States, which for those of you that don't know, will be a big theme of this Congress. We're doing lots of work with scale-up. We're very lucky to have Dan Eisenberg and a variety of others like Mr. Hoffman from Denmark who are really thinking this through. But we've got a great example here of Russia putting scale-up in cities throughout Russia. So fantastic, thanks. Bouquet?
This.
Hello. Okay, we're okay. Hi, my name is Orlando Perez. I'm from the Dominican Republic. I would just like to share something that happened last year. We've been running the campaign for over 8 years, and we've had our week in the basic numbers of whatever. We have this increase little by little, but we were always thinking, why are we having more partners and still having the same level of participants? At the end of the day, the week is getting people involved. And it's one of the things that we learned was it's not only having our players and the familiar faces that we see on a yearly basis, it's to getting everybody else that is not in that playing field. So we basically found out that what was happening with most of our partners is that they did not want to engage into running events because they were just afraid of being shadowed by these big either bank or government events, and they were saying, there's 2,000 people in one room, and mine may have 15 or 20. You know what? So what? We just told them, get the event out there, and what happened was all of their events were packed. We were under the impression that we were just, trying to see who we're going to get sitting in that VIP chair. And it really didn't matter. At the end of the day, we had events running in cities that we never even went to. And they just happened organically. So what I would like to express to my colleagues that we've been discussing this for the last couple of years, and why are we scaling up as much as participants? Let them do their shows no matter what size. If you have a room with 5 people discussing a specific topic, that's it. Register it and just share it. That's what I wanted to participate with you. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm Piset from Cambodia, the GEW host in Cambodia. I'm happy to be here again at GEC 2017 in South Africa. And the GEW or GEN to me is one of the good platform. Frankly, when I start GEW host in Cambodia go back in the last 5 years, when we're starting at the beginning, a lot of Cambodian youth and the government, even though they don't know they don't have any idea or clue what entrepreneur is. And up to now, last year, when we host the Entrepreneurship Week, we raised in the theme of entrepreneurship ecosystem. So the question is whether Cambodians have the ecosystem. Of course, we don't have the policy on the ecosystem as an overall, but we have many co-working space starting up. We have many incubations starting up. We have angel group. So we have many platforms on the ground. So as the GIN and as the GEW host and my organization, the Young Entrepreneur Association of Cambodia, so we have to conduct one research to mapping all this ecosystem, what we have and what we don't have. So frankly, this year, we will continue policy recommendation from what we have been researched from last year to the government. So hopefully this year, from this GEC 2007, we will get more input of the ecosystem work, learn success story, to input to our research on our entrepreneurship ecosystem mapping in Cambodia. So hopefully we will have a very good policy recommendation to our government this year. Thank you.
Now the hands are rising. I'll come to Rasmus next. I'm going to go here.
Hello, good morning. I am Yusuf Akeja from Gambia. This is the first time for me to be part of this session, and it's good to be here. As far as we are concerned, and also through the leadership of Ablai Toure from Gambia, we were able to do the Women Empowerment Forum, where we brought women from different parts of the country to discuss about the issues of entrepreneurship development. And then we also, for the first time in the Gambia, we had the startup incubator, where we incubate startups to help them to start their businesses. And then also we had the agricultural forum. Agriculture, we know in the Gambia, 70% of our population is into agriculture, and therefore we should give him priority to ensure we take it to the next level. So we brought farmers from different parts of the country to discuss the way forward for agricultural development. And then the other one, we also had the youth forum. We brought youths from different parts of the country. As you also know, in the Gambia, we are suffering a lot from this back way, that's people using the boats to cross the sea to Europe. So in order to avoid that, we are trying to promote true entrepreneurship development. And then we brought these youths and we discussed. And we have a lot of good stories that are coming up from those forums. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Is it on? Yes. My name is Rasmus Cherning. I'm from Denmark. And I just want to say in 2012, I went to Liverpool. Someone said I should go to the GEC. I had no clue what it was. And I asked out in the stage, is there anyone here in the room that would like to work with entrepreneurs from the creative industry? So not the usual tech or clean tech, med tech, ICT startups, but those that are more in the design and arts and the creative field. And it was fantastic to join the GEW community back then. We didn't have Jen in 2012, because already in November 2012, 17 countries sent their startups to Copenhagen to participate in the Creative Business Cup. So for us, it has been really fantastic to be able to do that. And now we've grown up to a community of 60 countries. This year, it's not just about startups, it's also about empowerment. When Israeli and Arab startups work on technologies that can be used in knitting needles and skateboards. And we've had women entrepreneurs from Saudi Arabia. We've had a lot of great startups. And I think the key word for getting the best out of the GEW is that looking at connections, not so much as events, but possibilities to connect people, startups, investors that we heard before, and also large companies that we do a lot about. And yeah, lastly, I just want to say I'm blonde, so you can easily recognize me. I'm from Denmark. I have another blonde with me, Sina here, that's also from the CBC, and Emma from Spain is also part of the CBC team. So talk to you later. Thanks.
Yes, we will give Rasmus more stage later on anyway, but thank you so much. And one thing I've been hearing about CBC's impact in those countries that do it is the startups are really happy about the follow-up. So it's not just about one event you prepare for, one competition you prepare for, but it's about building that network. And I think you guys have done this really well. I think scaling-wise, you could have scaled it to so many more countries, but you especially focused on making your operations work really well in these countries that you operate in, which I think is now really adding so much value to the creative entrepreneurship world. So, yes.
So my name is Daria Offman, and I'm representing Egypt. I'm Dutch, but I'm also Egyptian. Egypt is going into its 5th year of Global Entrepreneurship Week, and we are the official host. And I just wanted to tell a little bit about how we did it, because it's very nice to hear all the different ways in which the week is organized, and it's very, very country specific. So one of the way that we did it last year and the years before kind of is also to gather all the ecosystem players and make them organize the activities in this week, which means that the costs are relatively low because the only thing we're spending is overhead and some promotion activities. However, we use the week really as a fundraising campaign for most of the activities that we run throughout the year that come together in the Global Entrepreneurship Week, but that are not necessarily related, but it's a way for us to really fund overhead for a lot of activities that are related. And I'm really happy to hear other techniques that you are using, because especially in Egypt, we're facing incredible decentralization in Cairo. So we want to use the week more to reach out to other cities. So I'm very interested to hear later more about how other countries worked with city approaches, decentralization, using this week as a tool. Thank you.
Right. Good morning, everybody. My name is Moketi Benedict Degere. I'm an entrepreneur from Botswana, one of the most beautiful countries you have in the region. 45 minutes flight from here. Botswana is known for diamonds and tourism. I just wanted to say that as a young entrepreneur who started the GEW host in Botswana, I think we need to talk about the African agenda, and the African way is regional collaborations. And as part of this, last year, we were running the campaign in partnership with Angola. I wanted Mr. Jose Carlos Santos to just stand up from Angola. This is one example of what we mean with regional collaborations. Last year, we just sent out an email, and we were saying we're looking to collaborate with one of the African countries, being Angola. And there was no barriers to doing this. It was very simple. We just went out. We took 10 entrepreneurs from the continent, and we went out and made impact in Angola. And as part of this, we are going to be collaborating to bring entrepreneurs to open doors between Botswana and Angola. And as part of this challenge, I think what we want to say to the African continent is we know the history of the African continent, where it's coming from in terms of entrepreneurship. And that goes to the SMMEs. And I'm challenging everybody to make sure that you go spend your money with the smallest businesses that you see, whether it's in Soweto, whether it's in the small streets of Joburg. These are the people that have built the entrepreneurship ecosystem from the start in Africa. And I hope that as we develop the African agenda, we can focus on SMEs, because SMEs are the ones that are actually connecting Africa. And I hope that we don't sit in nice suits representing multinationals, but we forget the small companies that are there so that we can represent them. Thank you very much.
Hello everyone, my name is Isam Hamad. I come from the Kingdom of Bahrain. This is our first participation at the Congress, and we're very excited to be here. And I just wanted to share our experience in supporting GEW in Bahrain. As many of you may know, we are a small island nation, and the impact such global events have on our ecosystem is rather huge. So we have a thriving ecosystem in Bahrain. We have a very active support system in Bahrain, but it's very important to host these events in such small markets because it really has a huge impact on the sentiment, on the motivation and energy of the entrepreneurs in Bahrain once they realize that they are part of this global movement. And as a funding agency, we have been supporting the local hosts for the past few years. Last year, we hosted for the first time the Future Agro Challenge, and we're very proud that we have one of the winning participants taking part this year. Bahrain is known as the island of 1 million palm trees, and the winning competitor that is with us here this year has actually produced a product using seeds from dates, where he actually created a very unique coffee blend. So it's very nice to have something authentic from Bahrain on the stage in this event. So we're very happy to be here. Thank you very much.
Hello everyone, I'm Munira from Sudan. We're GU host there from Innovation Entrepreneurship Community. As we have 30 seconds only, I'll rush on it. So I will share with you one of our challenges. When we brought GU to Sudan 4 years ago, we had a challenge that there was not an established ecosystem. So what the role that GEW played in building this ecosystem, that it's motivated the ecosystem, it's brought all the divided parts together. So I'm sorry if I did that. And now we're putting our hands on with different partners. We're working with entrepreneurs in different stages. So GU has played a great role in motivating the ecosystem in Sudan and making it actually happening. We're seeing it. The numbers are growing day by day. So we're happy to be here.